Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into, perhaps the ultimate mystery consciousness. That simple yet really profound fact of subjective awareness, the you that experiences everything. Our mission for this deep dive, to challenge the common human-centered view, we'll explore evidence suggesting consciousness is maybe far broader, more diverse than we've traditionally thought.
It's definitely a deep rabbit hole.
Right.
And philosopher David Chalmers, he famously called it the hard problem.
Yeah.
It's not really about how your brain processes information, the mechanics of it,
Yeah.
but why? Why are those processes accompanied by subjective experience? Like the redness of red
Right.
or the actual feeling of pain. You could almost imagine a philosophical zombie, a being that looks, acts, talks exactly like you,
Uh-huh.
perfectly mimicking everything, but inside, absolutely nothing, no feeling.
Wow.
That thought experiment, it really highlights this huge gap. Consciousness isn't just what the brain does. It's that, lights on inner experience.
And yeah, so often our study of it has had this inherent anthropocentric bias, hasn't it? We tend to use human standards, being able to tell us you're conscious or complex self-reflection
It's exactly.
as the only benchmarks. We potentially overlook entire realms of experience that way. It really shapes how we even look for it.
That's such a crucial point. And building on that, our, let's say, conventional understanding of human consciousness, it's long focused on finding its neural signature. The NCCs, neural correlates, research points to a complex kind of distributed network in the brain, especially a key area, sort of the back of the brain in humans, often called the posterior cortical hot zone. That seems to light up with conscious experience. But, and this is important, consciousness isn't just a brain in a vat. Embodied cognition tells us it's deeply shaped by our physical body interacting with the world. Our senses, movement, surroundings, they're all part of it.
And then scientists uncovered something truly, mind-blowing. It challenged everything we thought we knew about linking consciousness strictly to behavior. Think about the surprise of covert consciousness. Remember that landmark 2006 fMRI study?
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
Patients in a vegetative state, completely unresponsive on the outside, could willfully imagine playing tennis or walking through their house.
And their brain activity looked identical to healthy people doing the same mental tasks.
Exactly. It revealed subjective experience totally disconnected from outward behavior, shattered those simple definitions.
Which just forces us to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, what about consciousness beyond human brains then? And the scientific consensus on this has dramatically shifted. It really has. Declarations like the Cambridge Declaration back in 2012 and the more recent New York Declaration in 2024, they now state pretty clearly that mammals, birds, even octopuses, they unequivocally possess the neurological stuff needed for consciousness.
Unequivocally. Wow.
Yeah. And they even cite a realistic possibility for many other vertebrates, and get this, invertebrates too.
So maybe your cat does know what's going on.
The science is certainly pointing that way.
And octopuses, they are just a fantastic example of what's called convergent evolution.
Absolutely fascinating case.
I mean, 2/3 of their neurons are in their arms, not a central brain like ours.
A completely different setup. Yet they show remarkable intelligence, problem solving, using tools like coconut shells for shelter,
Yeah, I've seen videos of that. Amazing.
curiosity, even play. It really challenges the idea that consciousness needs one specific type of brain architecture. And if animals are surprising us, well, consider the plant kingdom. Researchers like Stefano Mancuso, they've shown evidence for plant intelligence.
Intelligence. In plants.
Well, communication via chemical signals, learning, memory. Think of the Mimosa pudica, the sensitive plant.
Yeah.
It can learn to ignore being dropped repeatedly. It habituates.
Okay.
But, and this is really crucial, we have to distinguish this complex cognition, this information processing, from sentience.
Ah, the subjective feeling part again.
Exactly. Is there an inner experience? That's the big question, especially without a central nervous system like ours. It's a huge debate.
So if individual plants show these capabilities, what about when they're connected? That takes us underground, doesn't it? To the fungal network, the Wood Wide Web.
Yeah, Suzanne Simard's work there is groundbreaking. These vast underground mycelial networks, they connect trees. They act like a biological internet, basically, shuttling resources, information.
A kind of a forest communication system?
You could call it a form of distributed collective intelligence. But again, we need to be careful. Is it intelligence or is it subjective consciousness?
Yeah.
Likely the former.
Okay, so from nature's distributed intelligence, let's shift to minds we're actively creating, the world of artificial and synthetic minds. This really brings up some unique ethical frontiers. With AI, things like large language models, it's easy to get swept up. But what's the real debate? Are they experiencing or just simulating incredibly well?
Well, the Turing test just asks if it seems intelligent, right? But John Searle's famous Chinese room argument suggests maybe these LLMs are just sophisticated symbol manipulators, like a Chinese room, following rules without any real understanding. They lack that embodied sensory experience we have.
Right, they don't feel the world.
But then you have a totally different frontier. Brain organoids, these mini brains grown from human stem cells, they can develop complex neural networks, spontaneous electrical activity, sometimes similar to preterm infants.
Okay, that sounds ethically complicated.
It's an onrushing ethical dilemma, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if these organoids become more sophisticated, could they develop sentience? Even a basic form? And what moral responsibilities would that entail? We need to think about this before we potentially create suffering in something synthetic.
So wrapping this all up, what does this journey tell us? It really seems our old human-centered model just isn't enough anymore. Consciousness is likely more of a spectrum, right? A graded, diverse phenomenon across life, and maybe even synthetic minds eventually.
Exactly. And zooming out, this broader view really challenges human exceptionalism. Maybe we're not the pinnacle, but just one manifestation of this broader thing called consciousness, deeply interconnected with everything else. And that leads to a crucial point. If sentient subjective experience is the basis for moral status,
Then we have obligations.
profound obligations, it makes us question things like industrial farming and animal suffering. And it means we desperately need robust ethical guidelines for AI, and especially for those organoids, before we cross certain lines.
It leaves you thinking. The universe might just be teeming with forms of mind we're only just starting to grasp, and discovering that will reshape not just our science, but maybe our very sense of self. So, the final thought to leave you with, what new responsibilities does this growing sense of interconnectedness place on you?